Hello, it's Friday morning, more or less 10. I think it's a little less 10 today, or more. It's a little past 10, so I'm not sure if that's more or less. We could have a long discussion about that, perhaps. We have some minifigs that just came off of the rosin printer and got primed yesterday. So they are ready to be painted. There is a rust monster, which looks like it has a lot of detail and needs to be rusty, because that's why they call it that, because it's supposed to be rusty. And it would be interesting to paint. There's just so much all these little things on there that should be shaded and detailed. That would be a challenge. We have two owl bears. These are classic D&D figures. Classic D&D creatures, and you can see that they're printed to be very large, because in fact owl bears in the D&D game are very large. And these also need all sorts of detailing and shading, because they're feathered here and furred here, and it should look feathery and furry, and that will also be a challenge. Then there's a centaur. The centaur is a little bit more conventional in terms of painting. There's some armor and arms, and a horse that needs to be painted to look realistically horsey. What I should have had them print instead of these is like bricks or something. We have a pile of skulls. This would be fairly straightforward. Probably would pick maybe 3 different colors, ranging all the way from just a very, very white to like bone white, which has a little brown in it, so that the skulls would have some variation in them. And then I could use the fine felt-tipped pen to do the eyes and the mouth, the highlighting on it. So this, I don't know, this wouldn't be very interesting to paint, but it would be possible. At least there's just little bits of filament on here yet from the printing process, so this could be, I could spend a little time cleaning this up too. But this would be kind of an interesting set piece, in where I campaign. To draw there, it's kind of interesting. To just walk into a place and see this would be, it'd be kind of an interesting, this could be interesting for our campaign. And then there's this stack of candles, and I think in the campaign that we're doing now, we're in the sewers, and there's always people lurking around in the sewers doing like culty kinds of things, and this could be a really useful set piece too. What I would think with this is that instead of these being like white or beeswax candles, that they'd be like red and dark red and maybe a black one or something, and then just so that you could tell they were candles, I would paint the tops of them white or beige kind of color, because that's where when you see colored candles, they're usually color that's on the outside, and then the wax is usually still white on the inside. And then most of these, it looks like they've got tiny little pokey-uppy flame things. That would be a good spot maybe to touch them with, if it were possible, the pearlescent red. This would be kind of shiny. But probably if I painted the tops of all of those white, I would just use the red felt tip pen and just do little dots of flames all over the place. I might tackle this. This is going to be a little hard because, you know, it goes down inside like that. And so it depends on how many colors I want to use. But, I don't know. When they print these things, they say, what would you like to do? And I said, give me something easy to paint. You know, I might try the Rust Monster. I'm tempted to do the candles just because I think we might end up using these sooner than later. I'm not sure we'd use the skull pile. And we're hoping to find, there's some people who have been disappearing in our campaign. I mean, our characters haven't been disappearing, but the city we're in has experienced mysterious disappearances. And it would be really sad if we ran into this after all those disappearances. We were hoping, you know, we could find them and bring them back up. So maybe what I'll do is work on the Rust Monster and the candles. And we will I will set aside the owl bears. Put them in now I can just set them up on this shelf here because we have a shelf now. Those are handy. These up there. Notice how I have not yet broken the spear on the centaur. Got these two things here. Yeah, flip. I can do a flip. This has become a favorite flipping thing, so we'll just keep using it. It's all come up, no logo. 3 no logos in a row, 4 no logos in a row, 5 no logos in a row. Okay. There is another side to this, but yeah, that side didn't want to show. Ah, boy, there's a lot of paint here that never got put away. It's really kind of a mess. How many times have I said that on this stream? Like about every time, right? Keep your work surface clean. Yeah, it's really important not to have things in the way so you can bump into them. If you put them away, you'll be able to find them again. There's just a whole lot of reasons to not have... Would you like to see some clutter, Who? Would you like me maybe I can move the camera and show you clutter. There. Those are all different paints that I've used. Cluttered here. If that wasn't enough, over to my left, there is yet more clutter. And these are all things, some of which I will be using like on Submarine Wednesday. A lot of those, I'd say at least half of those should be put away because they're not being used right now. Yep. And they're off to the side. They're not on my wonderful high-tech piece of cardboard work surface here. But nonetheless, they are actually in the way. So I think what I'll be using on the Rust Monster, I was told by Nicole that it should be dark. So use like copper and bronze, and then use brown, a flat brown. to show the rusty patches. So I have no idea how this is going to turn out. That's frequently what happens with some of these, with this stuff, is that I really don't know. There. This is the good copper paint. It's kind of shiny. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, these are going to have very different tones to them. I don't know. I'm going to start putting some paint on this, and then get kind of like a base coat, maybe of the copper, because that's close to the rusty color, and then maybe do some. I'll try as well as I can to do some detailing. Detailing with all of these little spikes, spines, and feet and things that should show. It's got little mandible things. Maybe I should do the owl bears. There's also another copper. Look at my color chart. It allows me to continue to procrastinate. Maybe what I should do is use those two shades of copper rather than something. No, you're not going to see much difference between them. This copper is more metallic. It's shinier. So actually, I think because they want it to look kind of dark and rusty, I'm going to use this one that is less shiny, less metallic looking. And what I can do, maybe it would be okay if I just base coated the entire thing in this copper, and then worked from there in terms of highlighting and detailing. And what I would start with was starting to put some flat brown spots on it to make it look rusty. And when things rust, they rust in splotches, so it wouldn't be like just the whole carapace was brown. It would be like there'd be a spot there, and then all these feathery things like that. Yeah, those might be highlighted in brownish kind of colors as well. Maybe that's where I would use the bronze, is those. And then after I put the bronze on, in order to bring it back to the brown of rust, I could put brown wash on. Just plain brown, rather than the kind of reddish brown we use for the wooden floors. But I think since I don't know what color I'm going to be painting all the rest of this stuff, I think I'm going to make the whole thing copper and as an undercoat, and then just start highlighting things somehow. Highlighting and detailing. Let's see. Oh, there is one other thing I can do to procrastinate. I don't know if you remember this. This is the mycelium monster. The thing that was all... I was told that if you wanted to, you could detail this by doing things like the eyes and the mouth. And I thought about it, and if this is like, it wouldn't have red glowy eyes. I think it would have green eyes. And I've got a green felt tip pen, and I could try to do that. I'll leave this here. Maybe I'll get to that. If I leave that there, there's a good chance I could knock it over and break it too, so that's always exciting. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing with this. None at all, other than it's supposed to look rusty. And Nicole suggested using copper and putting since rust is not metallic looking, it gets kind of reddish brown, that I could use the red brown, which is a nice flat color, and put rust splotches on it. Maybe I should just do the skull pile too. I don't know. Am I rambling on about things? Am I sounding indecisive? Yes, that is all true. Why? Because I'm really not sure. Really not sure how these are going to go. This hasn't been used in a good long time, so I'm giving it a significant stir. Not looking at it, I've only used up 20 minutes. Yeah, we go. There's a little mixing ball in there. It finally came loose in this mixing. So we've got the red-brown. Probably I'll try that for some splotches. I might put one or two darker brown splotches on just to do it, so that there's like different levels of colors of rustiness. Sometimes it's true and sometimes it isn't, that if you base coat the entire thing, even if it's not the color it's going to end up being, that it's possible to see the detail better than you can when it's just primed like this. Put these off so I can see up close a little bit. And here I am painting. This is actually relaxing. It's kind of a low risk kind of thing at this point. But I'm looking at all this detail on here, and I think it is important to have this kind of base coat on the whole thing, rather than so that, if something's showing through, wow, this is really thin. It's not covering very well at all. So that if when you detail and shade it, you don't want the undercoat to be the primer. And it makes sense that this whole thing is covered in this copper paint. That the detailing and shading can be painted on top of something that is appropriately colored. So if it shows through, it looks like it should. I'm just making that up. I have no idea. Nicole could tell you, she's a trained artist. She could tell you what made sense and what didn't, and why, and so on. I've watched her paint things, and it's pretty amazing. It's like, oh, I'm going to put all these colors on here, and then I'm going to put this other color on top of this, and wow, look at how that looks. No idea how to do those kinds of things, even after watching it. But I do know how to slap the same colored paint all over something. And at my skill level here for sure, which is just making something the same color all over. I'm looking at this and it's kind of an uneven, but I think it makes it look shaded. Okay, it's almost like a speed paint is going on here, even though it's not what it is. I don't know, maybe it wasn't stirred. It might not have been stirred well enough so that the pigment isn't evenly distributed, but the effect is okay. Sometimes things are just lucky. You just get lucky painting something and then it turns out to look pretty decent, even though it isn't that you weren't trying to do it. If you tried to do it, probably couldn't. If I were trying to do this, I couldn't do it at all, but here it is by accident, and that's working pretty well. It looks like this is going to take a little while to dry, which means that starting to do some detailing on it needs to wait, and that's okay. Stayed on camera. Well, at least 2 days so far, we haven't had any major appliances break. We haven't had any short circuits in our electrical system, at least so far. Been that kind of week, you know? It's like a surprise. Too many surprises, and they're not like people coming to the door saying, "Oh, you just won the Publishers Clearinghouse lottery. No purchase necessary." That's good, because I didn't make a purchase, but here's $1.2 million. Oh, well, thank you. That'll make my day. You know, we hardly ever get those kind of surprises. Get some good candle colors. See if I can make this candle thing actually work, because I really think it would be a good prop for our campaign if I can get it to work. There's a lot of little detail-y stuff on it, but fiddly things. Maybe some scarlet red. Maybe some of this black red. Maybe one or two. There's 2 scarlet reds. That's right. I've got the old stuff too. It's a good thing I didn't put these paints away, right? Just this red. Is this the shiny red? It's the flat red. You get the shiny red. Oh my. Yeah, that's why it's really important to put things away and get them out of the way, so when you reach over that, you don't knock it over and break off pieces, which would have happened. But that's that copper paint is, see, there's the thing. Always, no matter how many times I rotated this, you know, and you saw me do it, there's still a spot that wasn't painted. So you can see that this is a pretty good color, base color for rust, but you can also see that it's kind of shiny, and it's a good rust color, but it's not the kind of really dark matte rust that you might see. That should be the spot that's... Cardboard isn't really stable. Put it on the wood there. Yeah, you can hardly see these, right? I can hardly see them. But there they are. A bunch of candles. I'm going to start with some of this bright red. I'm going to do a couple in the inside. Because these are so, to get into between the candles, it's going to be really hard to do them different colors without, there's a few with a really tiny brush where there's a gap that's large enough to be able to paint different colors around. So what I think I'm going to try to do is just, I don't know, we'll just see how the paint goes. We may end up with just like a couple of colors and some highlighted candles. And I decided, as I was looking at this, decided against the shiny red. These are going to be definitely dark. These are dark, doomy kind of candles. There might even be one or two that are just black or very, very dark gray. I think black. Dark gray would look like dark gray, but black would look okay. So I'm going to get, this is another one of these things where I might just sort of base coat all of them in this color and then do my best to make some of them darker. And the ones that are darker may end up being ones that are more on the outside, okay, just because it's almost impossible to reach some of these otherwise. Be nice with some of these tall ones in the middle to paint them a different color. I think, you know, to start with, this red is a fairly good demonic kind of red. I don't know if we're going to meet like devils or whatever. Whatever we meet in the sewers in our D&D campaign almost certainly isn't going to be like real friendly, you know, and so they wouldn't be greeting you with clear, pretty beeswax candles, that kind of thing. That wouldn't happen. And I'm looking at this, and this I really think the safest thing to do is to paint them all this color, because then at least they will be this color and they'll be painted. And then to grab some of them and try to paint them like a darker color, a darker red and black. And even if I can't get like all the different sides of it with the darker color, so that they be kind of like highlighted rather than fully painted, the red will still be there. Base on the bottom. If these are in the sewer, theoretically at least they should be sitting on the sewer tile color, which would be gray with a green wash. And I'll probably try to do that around the edges. It's the edge of the base. That'll be a little challenge in and of itself, but it would look better. So it's that, again, these actually have tiny little flame things on the top. Even though the candles themselves are going to be dark red and black, all right, the wax inside of them will just be plain wax, and so that the flames show, so that I get the flames to show, I'm going to paint the tops of all of these ivory. So I'll be taking little dots of ivory paint and touching it to the top of every single one. Yeah, this is okay. So by base coating them all the same red to begin with, even though I hope that they don't end up all looking this color, getting some idea of what it is like trying to get the tip of a brush in there. I've got another brush that It is not nearly as fine as this, but it has a long bristle tip. That might work. Definitely, I want some of these candles to be black, red, and black. Otherwise, you lose the detail of the fact that there's just a lot of candles here when they're monochromatic like this. Paint down onto the base, even though I'm going to try to make that gray with a green wash later. So the candles to be theoretically, that should be really easy to reach, but it's not. It is not turning out to be that way. Okay, I'm going to get out that other brush and see how it works. Getting down into between these candles with this brush. Just know when I look at it with the head magnifier, it's going to be an issue. Yeah, one. This has stray bristles. So what's supposed to happen is that when paint gets on these bristles, they're supposed to congeal together to form a fine point. Okay, I'm going to put on my head magnifier because I need to be able to see down inside between those candles. Otherwise, I'll be very disappointed, I am sure, with the results otherwise. I may end up using this brush when I try to paint these different colors later. It's not as fine pointed as the other one, but it reaches down in anyway. And if I'm careful, I can just touch like the sides of these candles like I'm doing here, kind of practicing that. And they look a little scabby at the moment because the tops of them, some of them are painted over completely and some aren't. So a sense of uniformity. Because not when I start doing the little dabs of ivory to represent the tops of the candles. They're not going to all be the same. Be nicely rounded, some will be and keep rotating it, and then just see like there's a whole half of a candle down there. It wasn't painted at all. I'm looking at this, and what I should have done, and I can't do it now, is painted underneath here between the candles like a black or something, just so that if the camera shows down on it, it looks dark, but this will work. Yeah, I could spend a good long time kind of individually picking out candles and painting them different colors here. Maybe I'll do that. It's like I said, this is kind of a cool prop. The camera would probably look down on it at this angle. The angle I'm using it as I rotate it to find spots that weren't painted. And there's lots of them. And there's spots you can't tell if they're painted or not. In the shadows, kind of. When we do our D&D campaign, okay, I mean, if this were a prop that we were using, it would be, you know, behind a pillar, and it'd be 2 or 3 feet from the camera, and you'd barely be able to tell that these are actually candles. And so paying attention to this level of detail is, you know, why. But there it is. Yeah, I think, you know, it'll be a little difficult, but I think with this brush, I should be able to get, if not individual candles, like little clusters of candles, painted a different color, a darker color. I think that would work. So let that set and contemplate the possibilities there. Yeah, there are owl bears. Thanks for asking, because if I take some time now, yes, it definitely can. That's why it's called an owl bear, because they have owl heads. But let me clean this brush, and then I can take a digression away from actually doing any kind of painting and recap what we have printed. We have printed a rust monster, which is this thing, which is still wet, which is going to look rusty by using different colors of paints on different parts of it in some way that's artistic. And no, it's just that kind of day. Tired, allergies. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Or like a giant flea, kind of. It looks like a bug, but it's supposed to be rust. So I put this base coat of brown metallic paint on it, and now I'm going to spend a whole lot of time putting other colors on different places to do that, because that's what artists do, is they like take little dabs of colors and brush, say, oh, I'm highlighting, oh, I'm shading, that kind of thing, right? So I'm going to try to do that later. And then I've got these candles that I've been working on. This is going to be a prop that I hope shows up in our D&D campaign. I'm getting to it slowly because I want to take as much time as I can. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it is an actual D&D figure, creature. We got a skull pile that will be painted bony at some point, but this could also be a prop in our campaign. But as I was saying at the very beginning, we're in a pile, Brogger. We're in a place in the sewers. We're in a city where people were disappearing into the sewers, and if I don't paint this, it won't show up. And maybe that will mean that we can rescue them rather than have this happen. And for some reason, I don't know why, we have just gigantic centaur. Our figures themselves come up to like about here, okay, about the length of its legs. So the centaur would be 6, 12, like 15 feet tall. I don't think centaurs are really, yeah, it is. It's a really nice model, but I don't know why it's so big. I can't see using this in the campaign because it's a 15-foot tall, centaur. But there are owl bears. Medicinal Shy Guy was correct. There are, and these are actually pretty cool. We've got the feathers nicely printed here. The owl face is definitely owly. Yeah. And these, even though this is really big, it's appropriate because owl bears are really big. And so compared to our minifig figures, if we were to encounter them, centaurs are really that large, huh? 4 spaces. I don't know. I mean, it might be to scale, it might be right, but I don't want to encounter a centaur particularly anytime soon, so I'm not going to paint that. But the owl bears are cool. And I was tempted to try to start these, but wasn't feeling real confident about being able to do justice to all of the detailing on the feathers. Like these, what they should be, I guess, is that they should be painted like a dark brown undercoat, right? And then like almost like a golden touch. I actually did this successfully once, just once, is I used like a brass, just touching the tips of the feathers, and it made them kind of shiny. And the very tips of all the feathers should be white. So this is going to take a huge amount of patience and some skill to get it to look nice. Even the fur, you can't just have plain paint. It has to be like highlighted to pick up the furriness of it. So this calls for a lot of deep dry brush kind of detailing. But we have a couple of owl bears. The poses are even slightly different, which is kind of cool. And they have very good owly faces, that one with the mouth open and one with it closed. You know, and those owls, you can have a nice black owly eye, right? Glowy, gloss black, and then a little beak, and then you paint lighter colors around the eyes and fade out to darker colors around the outside until it gets to the base coat color of the feathers. And of course the underside has to be a lighter color than the upper side, and that has to be shaded in. And I could make just barely adequate, I think, just short of yucky adequate owl bear painting. But these are so cool that they really deserve more attention. And maybe they'll get it, because I am actually going to be away. I can take some time dawdling about that too. I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks. And if this stream continues, Nicole will probably do it, maybe even Alexis. We might even have Who come in. Did you use an airbrush on it to get the detailing? How did it come out? Oh, I see. You made a link so we could see it. Little bitty owl bear babies. Yeah, that would be neat. That would be more fun than running into a mean owl bear. Now I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks, traveling. My wife and I are going to visit our grandchild, our very first grandchild. And so that's pretty exciting. So there's a real possibility, a true possibility, that if the stream continues while I'm gone, that Nicole will be doing that. And she will do an amazing job. I know she would do an amazing job on these owl bears. I think she'd have a lot of fun getting the shading and the detailing. Are the babies dangerous, or are they dangerous because if you bother the babies, the owl bear moms get upset and then attack you? Or are the babies themselves dangerous? Are they dangerous in the kind of, I'm dangerous because I look very cute, I look really cute and then cuddly, and you come up and yeah. We'll be finding out next week. My wife and we will be finding out how dangerous the baby is. We'll be visiting. She'll be like 3 weeks old. So that should be a very, very dangerous age. Okay. Really, because this is a metallic, it's supposed to be shiny, and so you can't tell, and it's still tacky. That's really true. Yeah, if you have a kid, you do have a real both moral and legal obligation to do what needs to be done to keep them alive. That means babies, yeah. At what age? And why are you even thinking that a baby would have access to a gun when it's a baby? No, they shouldn't. I guess, babies just do things they shouldn't do. Well, that I know. What about baby owlbears? There aren't really guns in D&D, so a baby owlbear in a D&D campaign wouldn't have a gun. This is becoming a whole, like a blog on gun safety, isn't it? Yeah, the captain had a gun. The captain was the only character in our entire campaign, and every place that we visited and everything that we've seen so far that had a gun. There wasn't really there was kind of an explanation for it because of the fervent tech. The fervent tech exists in our campaign, giving rise to miraculous machinery kinds of things like lighting for a city or pumps. There have been lots of pumps moving sewage that we've run into for some reason, or steam. Nine should get a gun. Well, in the improv warm-ups, that you can see if you become a patron by going to patreon.com/DiceandDungeons and becoming a patron, you get access to our improv warm-ups. And one of our characters, Zoria Ansul, the changeling druid, actually has acquired like way over a dozen of those. I'm not sure the exact number, but it's just like every third episode of our warm-ups, there's Zoria acquires another gun whenever the captain shows up. But the improvs don't carry over into the mainstream, so only the captain has a gun there. Some sort of fervent tech projectile shooting gun. Okay. Well, this copper undercoat continues to try to dry. I am going to make an attempt to paint some of these candles a very dark red to make them look even more sinister. I don't know how this attempt will go. Finding out fairly soon. Camera here so you can watch as I go, that didn't work. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, this isn't going well. I'm anticipating. So that's probably how things are going to happen. So get a little dot of this much darker red. You can tell it'll be red. It won't look like it's brown or black. It'll still be in the red range, but it will be definitely much darker. One on the outside here. The rate this is going, painting maybe 3 or 4 of these could take me right up to break. There. See, that's what happens when you get paint onto the adjacent candle. Leaving me the choice of either touching that up again later or painting that one also dark red. And I'm just going to do the cheater way of doing it and just paint that one the dark red too. Yep. Of these that color. I'll try to do this one. See if I can get this one without getting it to the adjacent ones. Like I said earlier, if this shows up on the stream, it's going to be so far away from the camera. Paint the back of it, but I have to make sure I'm getting the right one. It's going to be so far away from the camera that this is probably all just a waste of time. These two would look good in the dark. And then I'm going to paint just a couple of them probably black. And then the black should really stand out as, you know, I mean, you'll be able to see it. This is a more subtle color difference. Dark black red it's called. The air conditioning, it must have really gotten hot and humid out just over the last hour or so, because the AC is really pumping away. In the same room with it. I don't know if it filters out the sound or not. There's a filter thing on the microphone software that takes some of that. Really don't know if you can hear it, but it's very loud to me. On the inside there, just a couple up here. As I concentrate furiously at making some of these candles darker than the others, because why not? Yeah, something here. Maybe I'll just do this one that's adjacent and then do black or something in here. I need a lot of these, but I want some of that. I want there to be some variation in the color. as you go around it, just so it doesn't look like one just red blob. Okay, so you can say, oh, look at that, those are candles. That's what that is. Pretty good on this side. Yeah, I think since I'm going to paint a couple of these black, I think I'm just going to leave it at that. This will be the extent to which I will make this dark red color. One of those black, okay, and then maybe one back there. Three black ones in this. One of them will be the big one, like there. That might be a good place for a black one rather than the middle. If this doesn't, cover perfectly, I've got the red undercoat showing, so that should be okay. All right, so I'll leave that alone. Missed all of that amazing dialogue while I was painting different color candles. I bet Alexis could actually, given enough time and incentive, actually create that figure. Basically, it would take, it might not be that awful to replace the back legs on a print like this with some wagon wheels. And what would be even better is if the two wheels were different from each other. Maybe they'd be slightly different sizes. Maybe one would be spoked and the other one would be solid or something. I think that would be an appropriate kind of thing for whatever you called yourself, 6.5 or something, the half chariot barbarian. Yeah, we could do that. We could have snap-on wheels. Sorry, eyes are just really itchy today. We've been having one front after the other move through, and I guess they just bring weirdly different allergens. I'm just going to make a couple of these candles black. This is a nice flat matte black. Yeah, we could have some little skinny chariot wheels. We could have some gigantic wheels with treaded tractor tires. Not that, well, depending on what your one shot is. And then they could be like big off-road tractor tires, or road grader kind of things. Are you thinking of something we could sell? Is the Centaur Chariot combo? We'd have to what we want to do is we'd sell the wheels. You want to monetize everything, right? So the different wheels would be accessory sets, so that you could charge extra for them. It's important to do that. You wouldn't want to just sell them all with the figure. You definitely want to charge extra, make extra money for that. I'm just going to try to maybe paint three of these black. I sort of picked out the ones I wanted to paint black before, but remembering that is always, not going to happen. So oops. I really want to get this big one here. Let's start with that because that's the one I most want to do, and is in some ways the more challenging one because of its location. To do a little red touch-up after this. It's just a couple of places where the adjacent color got onto the red. But, that's okay. They'll give me something else to do. But, I think that's good to have a couple of there, I blobbed it there as I was trying to get down in between, so I'll have to let that dry and undo the touch-up. And let's see, I was going to do this one. I hardly ever use this brush. I find it kind of clumsy for some things, but it's a good candle painting brush. Maybe those three are all I need. The main theme is the red, and there's just a couple of, black candles that just pop up. So other than the red touch-up back here, and a little bit there after the black dries, I'll be ready to go on to paint the tops of all of these, every single one of them, with a drop of ivory paint. And then going back then with the red felt tip pen, touch the flame in the center of each one. Wheeled. Where did that come from? Why would the centaur care about speaking with spirits? Is that like how it makes a living? It makes a living by pretending to be a psychic and running seances? I suppose. I mean, why not? You have to get by somehow, right? That's as pointless as anything else anyone can think of. But no, we're not going to... No, the wheels wouldn't be made of guns. It just... Can you imagine that? Can you imagine how bumpy that ride would be? Yeah, sorry. It just continues to be really itchy. Let's see. I'm gonna I was going to put the cover back on this brush, but I can't do that unless I find it. There, it's underneath the cardboard. Yeah, his wheelchair are his back wheels, right? Is that how that works? Probably. I'm going to reach over here. What I'm looking for is looking for the gloss green paint, because I was going to do the eyeballs on this guy. But I think I'll just do that with the... Yeah, let me see if this is it. See, green paint. Since I'm having so much luck so far not making a mess of things, that's not entirely true, but I have only had like minor oopses so far, not any major oopses. Keep putting this in danger. I'm going to go back to this fungus monster thing and put some eyes on it. I'm glad you guys are talking with each other, because the dialogue you're having just is stopping any semblance of making sense at all. And you're getting into like triple copyright violations all in one sentence. Okay? And we just can't do that. We can't have triple copyright violations in one sentence and put those into our stream, even if it's a one-shot. We can't do that because we don't have any money for legal fees. You know, unlike some people who, when they get legal fees, can just, you know, get on their own social media and say, send money, and people send money and cover the fees for them. We don't have that. Well, yeah, we're trying to. That's why we have patreon.com/Dyson Dungeons, to give people an opportunity for us to make money doing this wonderful stuff that we're doing, like relaxing painting with Dyson Dungeons. Well, yeah, I mean, we're not going to get sued for your conversation here, that's for sure. But okay, the eyeball here is really obvious in the print, so I should be able to, theoretically, if I can get paint on the tip of this brush, put a bright green dot there where the eyeball is. Yeah. Ordinarily, a monster like this would have a bright red fiery eyeball, but this is a fungus monster. green eyeball on both sides. We're getting symmetry here. Bigger. So I'm going to make this one a little bigger too. Even though it's a little bit out of the eyeball socket. You might be able to see it better. Did it have a glossy green tongue too? I don't think so. The tongue should be really gross looking. I wonder what color I could make it. It's got eyeballs. That's nice. And I'm going to take this fine-tipped pen here. It's got nostrils. I'm going to make those black, just so you can see them. I want the tongue to be something. But it's got to be in the same color. Do pink. And I really want... Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little bit of this green wash. This will work. I'm just waiting for the candles to dry because the next step is to put minuscule, tiny little dots of, it's too bad that I got so much of that out. I'm going to have to buy another bottle of that soon. With the dark gray wash, green. You can hardly see that, but using the slimy green that we use this for the moss on the sewer tiles. Nice. I like the teeth too. You just do that. Can't really see them. They're not very big teeth, but they might as well be mossy green also. This way I can pretend I'm doing detailing. Extremely fine little detailing, the kind of thing that Nicole would do. So as I was saying, I'm going to be gone for the better part of 2 weeks. I hope it's the better part. I don't want it to be the crummier part of 2 weeks. And either we'll be skipping the stream, I don't know, or Nicole, or maybe guest stars will be coming in and doing some relaxing painting for you. I know that Nines, one of the characters on our stream, has some things that they wanted to paint. Been talking about it now for months. This would be an opportunity to do that. because it wouldn't be pushing me off, right? Because I won't be here to be pushed off. So 9s could actually do some painting, and that would be pretty fun to watch, I think. It might be really entertaining. That came out okay. I like the idea of using the wash on that. The eyeballs look okay. The nostrils look okay. And then I can tell Nicole, look, I did the detailing like on the teeth and the tongue like you said I should. I have the horrible feeling that we're actually going to meet this in our campaign. Because this is the kind of thing that grows up in a sewer. You know? I mean, it looks kind of sewery, doesn't it? And it's very likely to be something that we would see in our campaign, and that would be, really it's big. It's like 4 times taller to 3 times taller than Ulseth Ralph. Yeah. Maybe it's got like an AC of, I mean, it's just fungus, right? So it's probably got like an AC of 6. Maybe. So even 9s could use their rapier and pierce it, but it's just fungus, so who cares? And go split. Oh, yeah. And then it oozes back together like nothing happened. Hopefully our DM isn't watching this stream or getting any ideas about how to make that combat even worse. Okay. I was going to do some red touch-up on these. Just there's a little bit of the scarlet red. There were some spots that needed to be fixed. Hardly any at all, but there are some. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now. See if I can find them again. Around this black candle here, where I did it on the inside. And then there's quite a little detail stuff. I want to paint all around the edges of this. I'm going to paint it gray with the green wash so that it matches the floor of the rest of it. And I know, I mean, you can hardly see it. It's a really tiny edge, but unless that's finished, it's going to look really not good. So I need to do that at some point. Probably the sequence of events now is going to be, I need to touch up this other color too. These are little touches up of things that can never be seen because they're just too tiny. Can only be seen with a 2x head magnifier, which doesn't exist. We don't do that kind of close-up stuff, in our D&D campaign studio. Not sure why I'm taking the time to do this, but I can see it with my 2x magnifier, and so I need to make it right. So the sequence of events is going to be, I'm going to paint the tops of each of these candles with a lighter color. I was thinking ivory. I might do slightly darker. I might use buff. I'll look at my color chart. And then I'm going to paint the little bit of edging around the base with a gray color, the base coat that I use for the dungeon tiles, the sewer tiles themselves. Okay, and then I will touch all of that with the green wash later. Probably waste another giant drop of green wash. And then take the red felt tip pen and touch all of these little flame tips that actually got printed on these candles. I mean, they really did. It's pretty amazing the detail that came out on this rosin print. Yeah, I just got more red paint on here. So let me set these aside for just a second. Move some paint from one place where it's going to be a problem to another place where it's going to be a problem. Check out my... If I want, yeah, I'm going to have to use ivory. I'm not going to use white. That would just be too stark. We're going to use ivory on the top of these because it has to be light enough so that the tiny little spot of red for the flames will actually show. If you maybe see. So let me find that. That's the white. Dead white is the whitest white. This is bone white, which is too brown. That's not the color I'm looking for. There it is, way over here in the other pile of things that were cluttered. There's the main clutter pile that I showed you earlier that's up there. And then there's the secondary clutter pile, which is over there. I should paint the base first. I'm looking at this green slime here, and if I paint the base first, it'll dry before that disappears. I'm actually going to do that so that I can use that and not have to squeeze more out. I really hate wasting paints and things. Growing up in a household where it was, don't use it, you might not ever get another one, which was not very good when it came to this kind of thing. It's like, what do you mean I can't get another one? What? Yeah. You can barely see it, but there's a little rim, tiny little rim of a base around the bottoms of these candles, and there's enough of it there so that it does show. So I'm going to take some time, a lot of time it looks like, and paint it gray, which is the base coat we use for the sewer tiles. And when that dries, we put on that green wash that I used for the tongue and teeth of the fungus monster. Put that on it, and it looks like sewer slime. And that way the base of this Because I'm assuming we'll be using this in the sewer. Maybe that's a wrong assumption. But assuming we do, the little bitty base of this, the tiny infinitesimal, you can hardly tell it's even there, base around these candles will blend in and look like part of the sewer floor. And so this is worth every moment of this stream that I'm spending putting little bits of gray along the bottom of these candles. Because when these appear on the stream, everybody will say, wow, that looks like they're just sitting there right on the floor of the sewer. That's pretty amazing. You did a great job making it look like they belong in the sewer. Or maybe all I was doing was spending time doing this so that I don't have to work on the rust monster thing that I don't know what to do with. That could be part of it as well. And you're noticing that I'm getting paint on the sticky tack. You might also notice that there's a lot of paint on the sticky tack, and still it sticks, despite the presence of all of those paints that have gotten on there from painting bases that have been adhered to the sticky tack. But this will make it look so much more finished. Certainly in the sense of being closer to the point of me saying, yep, it's finished. But as you can see, since this is at the bottom of the candles, the ivory paint I'm going to be putting is going to be at the top of the candles. These can be done in sequence quickly, one after the other, without having to wait for one to dry before the other. Pretty nice. And by the time I'm done putting the little ivory dots on the tops of each of those candles, this should be dry enough for me to put the green wash on. And the green wash that I squeezed out earlier should still be liquid enough to be able to do that. That's my plan. Got a goal or an objective. We've talked about that before. I think it's an objective, right? The goal will be to paint this to look nice, or maybe that's the mission. Who can tell? Who can tell the difference between a mission, a goal, and an objective? Other than that, if you hire a consultant to do planning with you, they get to charge you for like 5 hours of their time while you're arguing about whether something's a mission or a goal or an objective. Well, they just stand around and encourage you and saying, those are great ideas, keep it flowing, let's do a chart, let's write everything down. This is just brainstorming, everything counts. There's no bad ideas. You know, there's all sorts of encouraging things that they can do during their sessions to keep people talking, to make it feel like they're participating and accomplishing something. I don't know, I think that was an objective, to do these in the proper sequence so that I can minimize the wastage of green, dark green wash. The next objective is to put little dots of ivory paint on the top of each one of these mini candles to represent the melting wax. We can put a little red dot on the top of each one to represent the flame, which in many cases has been printed on the top of the candle. And this is when one realizes there's candles. I'm thinking that's too bright. These are really dark candles. And even though the wax is supposed to be lighter, I'm thinking that's just not working. It just doesn't look right. I'm going to have to either use like buff or maybe even a very light gray. So I'm abandoning this, and I need to let that dry because I have to paint over that, because what I was trying to do is get these to be light enough so that the red flame thing would show. But it's just not good. It's not good. So I think I might even end up using this light gray, just like I did on the base, to represent the wax at the top of the candles. Or maybe buff. I want to see something that has some gray in it. My initial thoughts are just not going. Deck tan, that's what I need, deck tan. It's this color here, which is it's light, but it's grayish. And I'll need to find that. I can't remember which manufacturer made deck tan. I think it was maybe Tamiya. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but this is the color. I'll have to come back and do that. But what I can do in the meantime is I can green wash the gray down here. I think even at the distance of the camera, what am I doing? You can see that this is turning mossy now. With the green wash on the gray, makes it look like sewer slime. And that will then blend in with the sewer tiles if these appear in the sewer. I know it's getting on the sticky tack, but I'm not too concerned. None of this is going to peel off when I pull it off. There are some paints where if it goes from the model to the sewer tile, when you pull it off, it'll pull the paint right off as well. But this is unlikely to do that. If I am concerned about it at all, what I can do is I can pull this off while everything is still very wet and just reposition it in another place. And I might just do that. You know, better safe than sorry, even though the odds are pretty small that will be a problem. I take a chance when a chance isn't necessary. This isn't like a gambling thing. There might be a payoff from taking the chance. There is no real downside to being careful. Glad I stopped before I got too many of these done. There, I'll just move it over. I need to redo those with the deck tan color, and it's a nice kind of dark, light gray tan kind of thing. I think it should work instead of the ivory for the tops of the candles, and still be light enough to be able to put little red dots on for the flames. I need to let that dry before I start putting a second color on it, though. In the meantime, I got this guy, and what I've been told is that I should use a flat brown like this and put splotches on it, because rust is a matte color and not shiny like the base coat. And again, I have no clue what I'm doing with this, just none at all. I kind of like the way it looks right now. I really kind of like that. Anyway, I'm going to try this. I have no idea if this is going to be a good thing or not. I've been saying that about this ever since I started, and it is true. I really have no clue what I'm doing or why or how. But I'm going to try this by putting it on like the legs, kind of like that, as a highlight, like a shading kind of thing. And I'm going to do this, and then over break, consult with Nicole, who is the artist, to say, how is this? Is this kind of what you were thinking? Is this kind of what it should look like? And then she'll give me all sorts of advice about, you could try this and you could try this. And it will be really good advice, okay? Except that it'll be stuff I can't do, because I just don't have the skill. But in the meantime, I'm going to be putting this darker flat paint on here in the hope of making it look like rustier and less shiny. Just kind of, not quite, but almost dry brushing it on. I want it to be splotchy and a little translucent, because the rust is splotchy. Brownish base coat. Actually, I think that's looking kind of interesting. It's like not looking like not bad. I'll just say that. It's looking like not awful. I'm going to take a chance. I can always repaint it, right? do this. Carapace here. And see how this ends up looking. Again, it's a little splotchy, but you know, that's kind of how rust gets. It gets splotchy. This might be working for like the body of it. I'm not sure still what to do about the details, like all the mandibles and these feathery things. The feathery things, I think, need to be not just touched up with this rust, but they need to be something else. Feathery stuff on it with this color anyway. Just because that's, you know, kind of the rusty theme that's going on. Gum up on me. Yeah, that's what happens. Bottle cap paint starts to congeal. I don't know what's going on there, but that's coming off. I'm going to go up during break and get an opinion about how this is coming along, and then some advice about what to do for detailing, because there's just a huge amount of opportunity for detailing on this that I would just as soon avoid, but it would look a lot better if it were done. Or I could just leave this as it is, and when I'm not here next week or the week, you know, I could leave it to Nicole to try to salvage. But I think that's not too bad. No, we'll see. Oh yeah, I did that once before. These things have magnets and they either attract or repel. And I actually, if you get them too close together, they'll shoot. It'll actually push it. You know, and then these little delicate features would become very, oh my, that made a huge mess. The bottle cap. I'm going to have to try to clean that off. But I think, so I'm looking at this, this needs a little more of this. There's some shiny spots, and we don't want this to be shiny really. And this flat paint makes the shininess go away. Can't use the stuff in the bottle cap anymore. It just, it congealed too much. Okay, clean it off. This paper towel is about to reach its end as I use it to clean off the rim of the jar here. So over break, I will be finding another piece of paper towel to use as a cleaning cloth. Yeah, this is going to be an issue later. That's all. This bottle cap is going to stick. It will be a challenge to uncap that. So we'll show this off later during break. I should be taking a break now, and I think I will. I'll let this dry during break, come back and use this deck tan for the tops of the candles, and finish those during the stream. So when I get back, this is really close to being done. I need to touch the tops of the candles. As you can see, this bright kind of white color is going to turn into a grayer, darker color to match the eeriness of the candles, the darkness of the candles, but still be light enough to show the tiny little red dots that I will be putting on with a felt tip pen to represent the flames. And then after I get some advice about what to do with the rust monster, I might try to do those things that I'm advised to do, or I might just give up on that and paint the skull pile because, you know, whatever. So this color is going to go on there, followed by this. I've used this on the submarine. You've seen that happen. That works easier than a brush. So these are going to go on there, and this paint is going to harden and glue the top so that you won't be able to open it again. That'll be a handy thing to have. And then I'm going to take this up stairs and get some feedback about what to do in terms of detailing on it. Maybe the response will be, this is just right. I wouldn't change a thing. Paint the base. That would be pretty neat. And then I would paint the base. I'd probably do it the sewers sort of style again. I don't know. I'll ask, but then how should I paint the base? And the advice will be, paint it this way, and then I'll paint it this way. And then that'll be done. And then I'll maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I'll see what kind of advice I get about this. It does look kind of rusty, though. I'm kind of pleasantly surprised at how that kind of turned out. Yeah, probably need to put more of that on, like these real shiny spots. I probably should have done that. I probably should do that before I take it up. I didn't turn it around to there we go. That's how this is going to work. The plastic inner liner is the thing that's going to jam onto the bottle. Yep, instead of the bottle itself. But yeah, what I should have done was turn it around. And when I was having some success, the success I was having at diminishing the shininess, I should have gotten the back of this tail like that. But I didn't, because I didn't turn it around. That's the importance of constant rotation of your work, is so that you can see all the different sides of things that need to be painted in certain ways before you say, I think I'm done, and then you turn it around and see that you missed an entire thing. So the tail. Yeah, okay, well, that used up a couple of minutes, but it looks better. Turn this up again. And I am going to take the break now and get some expert feedback from a real artist about what to do with the rust monster. The rust monster thing that's off camera. And I know what I'm going to do with the candles, so I got my stuff ready for that. Yeah, I'll be back in about a half hour. It usually is somewhere between 20 and 35 minutes for break, and that's what will be happening now. So thanks for watching so far, and hopefully you'll stick around and come back and see what happens to the candles and this rust bug thing. And break's over, finally. Took a while, because there's always something. No matter what, there's always something. So what I'm going to do is try to finish these candles by changing that really bright kind of white color to a different color with the tops of the candles, because the candles have to be lighter on the top. And I'm going to use this color, this sort of grayish tan kind of color, and I think that'll look better given the darkness that I'm trying to do with the candle tops here. And then I will do a flip, because that's a good use of time. With this, the advice is get the black wash, which will actually be dark gray, and wash the whole thing, because that will settle into the little indentations and show the detail that's kind of missing. And then after that, if you want to have some highlights of little metallic bits here and there, to paint over the wash. So I'm going to do that after I do this. So I want to paint the tops of these first, because I want that to dry so that I can come back with the tiny little pen and paint flames on the tops of the candles. That's the intent anyway. Yeah, I actually brought something down to hydrate with. That usually is something I don't do. I had a little bit of something to eat during breaks, so my blood sugar won't crash probably until like 1:30. And yeah, see how that goes. So flips, go back to this. This landed this way 6 times in a row. Let's see if, yeah, the streak continues. 8, 9, 10, really? 11? Finally, 11 to 1. This is not a fair coin. So if you were to get into a flipping contest where you're betting this side or this side, this is 11 to 1, 12 to 1, bet on that side. All right, get the candles back, get this paint stirred, put the head magnifiers back on, get the little bitty brush out, see what we can do with these candles. I want to thank everybody who is watching this stream, either as it's happening or maybe later on YouTube. Thanks for being a follower. We really like having followers. If you become, what is it called, a sponsor, if you can do that, that would be even terrificer. And you can always go to Dice and Dungeons. No, Patreon. Patreon.com/Dice and Dungeons. And you can become a patron and help support us in our endeavor by, helping to buy more paint or brushes or all sorts of things that are needed to keep this thing going. You are very much invited to watch our Dungeons and Dragons campaign, which streams with a live chat 3 Sundays a month. Wow. Let's see how this goes. It looks like it needs thinning. 3 Sundays a month at 2 Eastern Daylight Time, at least as long as Daylight Time is still continuing. Or you can catch that on YouTube or as a podcast. This is going to be a much better color. It's still pretty light, but it's not that bright white color. They're very much not focusing at the moment. You do it more harm than good. Lack of focus is really not helping. Sometimes, I think it's just the angle of the lens, maybe. It may be necessary to go back and do some touching up with the red if I have trouble getting this stuff on here. The point of this is that when candles melt, usually if they're colored like this, it's just on the outside, and the wax itself is a lighter color. And also, they have little flames, little tiny pinpoint flames I want people to be able to see. And you wouldn't be able to see those when it's red against red, right? This wouldn't show. In the case, the paint builds up on the base of the brush and not on the tip. Just periodically I have to clean it off. You can see the contrast between that color and that color. You can see that this color works with the dark reds, and it works better. One of these candles. So, it looks like every now and then I'm going to have to stop and clean up the tip of the brush. That'll just look like wax is running down the side. I guess that would be okay. Yeah, I mean, what I might do is, it'd be kind of interesting to make like wax drips down the sides of some of these candles, but I am not going to do that. That would be, considering that these are going to be next to invisible anyway if they show up on the stream, that would just be more than is essential. Reminding everybody that the goal, I guess I would say, not the objective, but the goal is to get painting done adequately. I guess that would be a goal. Is that the mission? No, the mission is to get as many people as possible to become followers of Dice and Dungeons. That's the mission. No, the mission should be outwardly focused, right? So the mission should be to entertain as many people as possible with the content of Dice and Dungeons. That would be outwardly and other focused as opposed to just inward and selfishly focused. It's a better kind of mission statement. It's to deliver the most entertaining Dungeons and Dragons related content, streaming on streaming things to bunches of people. Just being a precise quantitative measure. So if you happen to get onto this, you could join the bunches of people for whom we are targeting this. And join on the D&D campaign 3 Sundays a month, with live chat on 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, or on later at your leisure, YouTube or podcast. And relaxing painting with Dice and Dungeons on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from more or less 10 until more or less 2 Eastern Daylight Time. That's what's happening here. And it did start at more or less 10 this morning. It was a few minutes after. And it'll go until more or less 2. Probably a little less today because I'm just running out of things to do. I'm not sure I want to start something more. After I'm done dabbing away at these candle tops, I'm going to carefully put some dark gray wash on the rust monster thing. Yeah, I'm glad I switched colors. This looks much better than the ivory did in terms of its appearance with the dark candles. And it should still be light enough to show the little red flame tippy top things that I will attempt to put on with a felt tip pen. But first, clean this brush. I'm not going to need these to put the wash on. Tap on this to try to preserve a little tiny point and find the appropriate brush to put the wash on the rusty monster thing. I want something that's fairly broad and soft because I want the wash to go on kind of nicely and evenly, but I also want to cover a fairly large surface. So I'd be going like this and then trying to work it into the creases, you know. There's a lot of detail on this, and the wash, when it goes on, is supposed to bring that out by building up in the little nooks and crannies and valleys and things. I'm going to be using the dark gray wash, which needs a lot of stirring, because these washes, the pigment, wow, this looks like almost a brand new bottle. The pigment settles down in the bottom, and it needs to be really thoroughly stirred. Otherwise, you get a solvent at first, and the color's not in, and then you get down to the bottom third, and it's all pigment and no solvent. We discovered that with some of the washing earlier. When we were, some of our very first dungeon tiles, we were using a black wash on it. And things are going along, and they all look pretty uniform, and all of a sudden we did a couple, and they turned out to be way darker than anything else. You know, and that in itself isn't bad, but you can't put them together with the other ones without them looking really weird. And it turned out that the wash just hadn't been thoroughly mixed each time it was used. And so as we got near the bottom of the bottle of the wash, it just kept getting darker and darker until all we had was pigment, and it was just like black paint instead of a nice translucent detailing, highlighting kind of. So when I showed this, you know, to Nicole, who is our artist in residence, I didn't get that looks pretty good. I got well, yeah, this is what I try to do. So I think what we're trying to do is sort of save this rust monster thing. And then after I get the wash on, depending on how everything else goes, I might paint the base. I don't know. We'll see how this goes today. What I'm thinking is I might paint the base, and I would just use that convention of gray with the green wash on it to make it look like it's in a sewer. And it would make sense that this is in a sewer because it's all rusty, and, you know, rusty things hang out in sewers, right? Of course they do. Mix it this way as well to get some little vertical stirrage going. And, you know, sometimes you open these and it splashes out. We had one of these that just didn't do anything other than splash. So every time anyone opened or closed it, it just sprayed everywhere. And then other ones like this, nothing happened. Okay. So I'm going to start with little bits of wash on here. Let's see how this starts to go on. Yeah, it doesn't take much to darken it. I want to get it to puddle up a little bit, like in the toe crevices, right? To cross, because I want it to particularly get into the crevices and the banding. The whole point of this is to highlight the nooks and crannies and crevices in the model. Times more than I actually needed. Well, this isn't really doing what I was hoping it would do. I have to say that. It's succeeding in highlighting the carapace plates and things. It's just making it darker. I'm not sure what's up with that. It's the way I'm using it. I don't know. Certainly made it look different, but it's not pleased with that. I'm going to try something here. Thing to do is just wipe some of it off. Hoping to like wipe it off the high spots and leave it in the low spots, kind of. This totally broke off something. I don't know what. It just went flying. Oh, the whole tip of the tail. Okay, well, that'll give me something to do. This stuff was kind of fragile, and I just zapped it in a not very helpful way. That wasn't the part that I was afraid I would break, but it was the part that I did break. Okay, so at least I could find it. Oftentimes when this happens, okay, this is what broke off. This bit right here. Usually when that happens, I can't find it. Okay, it just disappears. In this case, I did. I was able to find it. Repairing this is not going to be easy because it's a very, very tiny point of contact. Okay, and I'm going to use epoxy to fix it, which will require holding it in place for a good long time. I have used contact cement for this kind of thing in the past, and that's worked pretty well, but I want something a little bit more substantial this time. I can't believe I did that. Okay, well, this whole thing just isn't, this didn't work. Whatever this was that I was attempting to do has been kind of a failure. And what I'm going to have to do is bring out the lighter paint and re-highlight all the stuff that I made dark. Well, that was a big uh-oh. I haven't had a big uh-oh yet today, and that was it. Attempting to make one thing better and failing. See what I can do. Yeah, I am going to try this technique. I've used this before with small things like swords. Well, it's just tiny stuff. The downside is that sometimes it leaves like a blob. Okay, the upside is it's contact cement, so when you touch one part to the other, it sticks right away, which is a good thing, because with epoxy, you have to hold it in place for what feels like a lifetime. With this, it happens very quickly. The downside is sometimes you get a blob. That was very unfortunate. That was an unfortunate thing to be doing while I was trying to do something that wasn't working anyway. If there's enough on there, it will stick. If there isn't, it won't. I'll just need to try something else again. I want to get it in the right orientation, because this is actually upside down at this point. And it's supposed to stick to itself like that. Back point is too small, and it not going to stay. Maybe. That will be okay. And I'm going to not mess with it now. I'm not sure how to fix that whole thing in order to make it look good. It now looks very dark. But Nicole said that it's, just use lighter paint and re-highlight everything. It's like, okay, I guess one can do that. But that isn't what I intended. That was disappointing, in that the wash didn't really work the way I wanted it to at all. And I broke something, and now it needs to be repaired. Maybe I can do this. Okay, at the top of each of these candles, at the top of each of them is a tiny little point where there is supposed to be a flame. And the intent here is to use this red felt tip pen to put a red dot on the top of each candle. This is just... I guess I need to hold it up different? I'm not sure. Maybe what I needed to have done is rambled on about something from the 1960s. Usually that helps. But I didn't do that today. For this particular stream of relaxing painting with Dyson Dungeons, I don't know, if I were to give it a grade, you have to give it a letter grade, right? It's sort of running, this is like running at a sea level. In terms of how well things are going and how interesting it might be to watch. This would have been one of those things where it would maybe be not relaxed at all, where what do they say on the TV warnings? Coarse language, right? Well, these candles are turning out okay, but the rust monster thing just, I don't know. Maybe it just needs to go back to being primed over and started over. Maybe Nicole can save it. I don't know. But I am not being successful at that. Thing at, and it might make it worse. It might make it better. I don't know. Finish this. As I said a little bit earlier, I'm going to be gone for some time, doing some traveling, because that happens. I'm going to be doing some traveling, and I am not sure if I'm not sure what the streaming schedule is going to be like while I'm gone. I would want you to just make the assumption that unless you learn otherwise, relaxing painting will continue on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, more or less 10 until more or less 2 Eastern Daylight Time. And if I'm not doing this, somebody else will, and they'll be doing something interesting. We've got owl bears that would take 1 or 2 streams to do. There's 2 of those. We've got a centaur, and no doubt other things could be printed in the interim as well. So it's most likely going to be minifigs of some sort. What you will not be getting is you will not be getting Submarine Wednesday, because that's the thing I do. It's working on my 1960s vintage Renwall submarine model, and if I'm not here, nobody else will be working on that, because it's mine. So there. Okay, I'm going to stop messing with that. Those are so tiny. I'm not sure. I guess you can. You can see that there's little flames at the tops of the candles, and I think what's going on with that. Some of these have like the flame got printed, so it's like a little spike on the top. We need to make sure that that's red. But if the angle's right, you can see that each of those candles has a little flame on the top. Going to that kind of darker grayish beige color was way better than the ivory that I was using. That was just way too bright for the kind of culty, doomy look that I wanted these candles to have. And I think the combination of the reds and the dark red and the black, I think that worked out okay. A lot of that will depend on, if you look at it from this side's a lot better than looking at it from this side. So if it shows up on camera, hopefully it will show its good side. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to take that off the sticky tack a little later. I'm going to go back to this failure of a rust monster and try some little highlights. Going to go back to the copper paint and just put little spots on it. Nicole said, "Oh, the high areas where it'd be rubbing against something, and the rust would rub off, and then it would be shiny. Kind of put a little bit of shininess on it." And I don't know where that would be. Maybe here? Going across the top. Maybe like around the head. That's possible. Like where it's rubbing its head against something. Maybe it's mandibles. Maybe I can catch just the top of those. You know that? Like that. So its legs. Up there. Try to highlight some of the feathers, but that's the thing I just busted off and had to tried to put back on. Well, I did put it back on. The thing is, I want it to stay on. There's like little spikes here. Maybe I can highlight those. I'm really not sure what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to catch the high points. What I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to, mess this up and maybe like drop it and break something else off. That's always, that can also be a thing that I could do. Yeah. Maybe like the bottom of the tail thing here. That's another spot that would kind of rub, wouldn't it? Well, it might be a little bit shiny. I think the toes. What do you think? The toes a little bit shiny. Yeah, I think that it's been in the front worked. I'm not going to play with that terribly much more. If Nicole wants to do something, I think that would be a good idea. But what I'm going to do is, it's only like I still have some time left, there's a lot of time, is I'm going to paint the base just so that it looks a little bit finished. Okay? And that could be done without affecting all the highlighting and stuff that needs to happen. So I'm going to paint this, the standard sewer base, which is this neutral gray color with a green wash. And I'm going to use the little bitty brush to get around the toes. And then a larger brush to paint the rest. And because the base is all sewery, mossy and globby and things, I don't have to worry about too much about making sure that the paint is totally even. But I do want to paint around the toes and the feet. Do that. I should put the head magnifier on, even though I'm having trouble focusing with it. Can't focus at all without, yeah, that's much better. Base is not painted. It looks so totally unfinished. And even if the model isn't really looking that good, which in this case is the case because, I'm doing stuff I don't know how to do. When the base is painted, it just looks a whole lot better. So by doing this, I'm going to greatly improve the way this thing looks without necessarily improving the way it looks. If you know what I mean. Know what I mean? What I mean is that we're creating the illusion of it looking good. Shadow. Can't paint the shadow. Well, I can, but it doesn't do any good. And this is a good way to use up a fair amount of the remaining time for this stream. It has to be done anyway. I will tell myself that I'm not doing something that wouldn't need to be done anyway. The base needs to be painted. So why not now? Is just a way of getting carbon dioxide balance, I think. Doesn't mean anything else. It's kind of like a little bit like a yawn. I go silent as I paint the detail of the base around the toes using the bitty brush. And I'll get this like, it looks okay. Looks good. You did a good job. I'll probably get that after the stream when they come down and look at it. Could be worse. Expected it to be worse, but since it's not worse, I guess that's a good job. You did good. I like the candles. They'll say that. We might be able to use those. See what they might say. They'll be really small on the screen. You'll hardly see them, but we'll put them on there. Maybe make them. They could be magic. So even though you can barely see them, they will play a role in the campaign. Like they'll be evil magic, and if you get too close to them or something, it'll be dangerous. Okay, I'm going to paint a little bit more backs of these feet. Oh, really having a hard time. Oh, it looks like a reflection. They kind of lift up around the bottom, and just can't tell. I do need to get more gray paint on the back of this foot though before I use the large brush, otherwise that will be a problem, because I want to use the larger brush to fill in, but that area behind there is hard to reach. Okay, so I'll clean this off and then use the larger brush and finish that, and then get the green wash out and finish that. And then either it will be done or somebody else will make it look good. One or the other. As I'm working underneath this thing, trying to be fairly careful to not bump up along the bottom and get paint all over those things that need not be messed. And since this is going to be moss covered and lumpy anyway, I'm not too worried about making sure that the paint is level. In fact, if it's a little lumpy, that's a feature. That would actually be a good thing. This grade dries pretty fast, so I should be able to get the wash on pretty soon. Which is good, because I don't have anything else to do between now and the time I put the green wash on. It would be good if I did, but I don't. Almost did the thing I was avoiding. I almost got gray paint into that, and that would be bad, because when you've got like 3 layers of paint and wash and stuff, you can't really touch it up in the same way that you can if it's just a monochrome. There's gray all around. And the tail is staying on. That's good. That's kind of a pleasant surprise. I need to put that on a flat surface, otherwise it will definitely fall over, and if it falls over, it will definitely break again somewhere. Yeah. Good. Put it right there where I need to reach over to wash the brush. That was courting disaster. Okay. It's a technical term for something I do on the stream, courting disaster. It's like, don't do this at home, folks. If you're watching this, that was a how not to do it episode or interlude. Okay, this brush is not coming clean. Give it an alcohol bath. Always keep this here. Some isopropyl for deep cleaning brushes when they don't come clean in the water. And some brushes especially hold on to a lot of paint and need this because it's a more powerful solvent than the water. To do that to this too, just especially around the base of the bristles where the paint will build up. Sometimes it will dissolve in the next paint and then it won't be the color you want. It'll be the combination of the color that was on there before and the color you want. Okay, I'm not going to use this anymore. Cap that off, set it aside. Cap this up so it doesn't, if it gets knocked over, it'll hit the floor and break, and I'll have isopropyl alcohol and glass on the floor. But if I just spill it, then it'll just be isopropyl alcohol. And while I'm waiting for that gray paint to dry, I can put this back on here so you can see what it is I'm working on. And I'm going to take the candles off of the sticky tack. There you go. And now you can see how they look without all of the orange and other grubby old paint and stuff on it. And it'd be nice. Oh, there's a paper towel there. That's handy. Hopefully that's being used. Hold down here. Really handy is let me put these on a white background so you can actually see what they look like. There. See if we can focus. If these show up on our stream, it would be, you'd be seeing them at kind of like that angle. Okay, so they look like red and black and dark red candles, and you can see the wax on the top and the little pointy bits where there's a flame, and then they'd be giving off some sort of magic aura of some sort that would be, I don't know, maybe affecting us and creating periodic psychic damage or something. And we go and try to extinguish the flames and they would be inextinguishable. Okay. Or we might never see them again. There's that too. So I'll leave those out here so that it's obvious that I did something on relaxing painting today. I made a tiny little candle bunch. And sort of a, metallic looking rusty kind of monster thing. And now I need to put green wash. I wonder if this stuff still works. I can try it. That's the wash I use everywhere else, and just spread it around it. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. so I don't need to get any more out. But that's the green sewer slime look that we have on our sewer tiles, which is now appearing on the base of both the candles, which you can barely see. It's just around the edges. If I hadn't done that, it would have been really obvious. But I took a forever time to paint that gray and put green wash on it so that it could appear on the sewer floor and look sewery. Just to be kind of globby because it's moss, little slime grown. And that doesn't grow in a uniform fashion. It just kind of has dark spots and light spots. Well, this is good because I squeezed out that drop of green way back when. For that, and I've been able to use it. This monster thing that I had done before, and I get to use it on this, and so actually pretty much using it without wasting any. That's a good thing. What's the phrase? Waste not, want not? That's really not true. I mean, you could end up not wasting things, but still wanting things. People should just say, don't waste. But no, you have to have multiple things like waste not, want not. A penny saved is a penny earned. You can just say, penny saved is a penny. Or penny saved. But those kind of aphorism things always seem to need two lines to be complete. Okay, that looks a lot better with the base on it and with the base painted than it did without it. It looks a lot more finished. So there's that magic of looking finished again. Let me turn it. Since it's on a sticky tack thing, I can turn it so it faces you, and I can rotate it so you can see how it looks. And again, I don't know, I'm not sure what the final judgment on this is going to be, but it looks okay. Looks adequately to me. It's brownish, slightly metallic-ish. The part that I broke off is staying on. That's really important. There's dark spots and light spots, so there's a lot of variation in the color. The base looks pretty decent. It's got a nice uneven mottled kind of mossy look. So I'd say this came out okay. Not great. Nicole would have done an amazing job on it. I've done it's painted job. The little candles look okay. Those are kind of cute. Yeah. You look at them from that angle, which would be if they showed up. So I'm going to let this base dry just a little bit longer while I talk about Dyson Dungeons, and then take it off the base because it's always precarious when it's on there. If these tip over, especially with these fragile pieces, it's not good. So Dice and Dungeons is a group of friends and relatives who got together well over a year ago to start playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that campaign continues and streams with a live chat on Sundays, 3 Sundays a month. Watch social media, because every once in a while there's a day off because of a holiday or travel or something. But usually 3 Sundays a month at 2 o'clock Eastern time, and that campaign is amazing. It's in a world that our DM created. Our characters are fun. We have battles in which we almost die. We do retail shopping in which we buy tote bags and magic items and pretzels and things. That's always fun. We talk about food without really eating it, but we talk about it. Our characters eat. We don't as players. So there's that, just so you know. And it's getting into a really exciting space right now where we are in a sewer once again. One of our very first dungeons ever was a sewer. This isn't the same sewer. It's a different sewer, but it has the same, dangers, more dangerous even. So yeah, catch that. And as we developed that stream, we got more and more ambitious about the kinds of sets that we use to play. And so we started creating minifigures, but also dungeon tiles. I would be remiss. That means I would fail in, take this off now, taking the opportunity to show you how those dungeon tiles work. This is something I try to do every stream. These are dungeon tiles. We print our own on 3D printers. Design was enhanced by our DM so that the wall and the floor are one single piece, so that they're at a nice 90-degree angle and they don't fall off. Okay? And although you could use clips to hold these together, we are using little ball magnets. And so underneath here are little ball magnets that sit in wells. This cap goes on and they hold on to each other in any and every orientation. Okay? And you can play on any kind of surface. This is just cardboard sitting on top of wood, and they stick to each other, not to the surface. These were base coated, okay, and highlighted, but they're not yet washed, so they look a little bit dull. Once we wash them, they look much livelier, and they look really good on stream. Our sewer tiles look really sewery. A big ship. No, I think I'm not really anxious to get back on a ship. The only good thing about being on a ship is getting off the ship. No, and even that isn't good, because oftentimes we've gotten off the ship. But if you want to play on a metal surface, well, then you can play on a metal surface. And they will not only stick to each other, but they'll stick to your surface as well. So you'll have a double stick. If you want to do that, you're certainly welcome to do that. I'm just saying you don't have to do that, which is a feature. But yeah, even when we got off the ship, that wasn't always good, because sometimes we got off the ship by having the ship blow up and blow us into the water, and that wasn't any good. So I can't think of anything really other than getting from one place to the other until the ship blows up and blows us into the water. Good things that happens on a ship. Well, I think I did get my pet Artemore while on a ship. Or maybe that was on shore and then we went on to a ship. No. I'm okay with getting on the train, though. I know that the place where we are at has just invented trains. They're using this Ferventech energy source to drive with, they're called trains. They're like these things that run on these iron things, and, they have to be in character on the stream. We don't know what a train really was until it got invented, and we're going to call it a train because it seems like a good word for it in the common language. Closterian. Anyway, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with getting on to, once they get their train running, it isn't really officially running yet. Spending some time on the train. Although the last time we were on a train, it was the first experimental train that got blown up too. So maybe, and then virtually every city that we've been into has either been started on fire or blown up. I don't think it's us though. It's not us that's doing that. It's just a coincidence that every time we go to a place or get on something, it starts on fire or blows up. Anyway, these are the dungeon tiles. Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons started by, since we were painting these for our stream, we started streaming the painting. That's one of those back and forth, use the words in reverse. There we go. And been doing that since. And when we don't have dungeon tiles, we do minifigs. And when on one day we had neither dungeon tiles nor minifigs, I started painting models. And now I'm working on one day a week. I've given permission to work on my 1960s vintage Renwall cutaway submarine. And that is making some progress. I am going to be, in the next couple, when I get back, it'll be a couple more weeks and I'll have like the forward third of the model done. All the crew compartment areas with all the huge amount of detail and parts that don't fit and stuff like that. It'll be a great relief when that's all inserted into the hull of the submarine and I can move on back to the missile launching tubes and the engine rooms and things. That'll be, I hope, a little bit easier to work with. But these are our wonderful dungeon tiles, and that's the tie-in with our Dungeons and Dragons campaign and with the creation, the genesis of Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons. And I will go ahead and move these back to where they were, reaching over things that cannot be spilled or broken. Yeah, at least by reaching over them, they can be knocked over. And as I set something up, I knock over even other more things. Wow. Yeah. I think I'm just going to leave this chaos, this chaotic mess. I think I'm just going to leave it for whoever picks up Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons while I'm gone. Oh, see that? That's the midpoint of the camera most of the time. And being, trying to be like a real studio, as opposed to, this isn't a real studio, this is just a workshop with a camera. I kept getting things off camera, so I put an X there so that if I were occasionally paying attention, I would be doing my painting sort of over the X, and then it would be on camera. But I think I stayed on camera the whole stream today, so that was a real treat. So let me show you this again. This is what I accomplished in the entire stream. It took the entire stream to get this sort of rust monster bug thing to this stage of accomplishment, and I got these evil candles, these horrible magic emitting, nasty psychic damage causing candles done. And just so I don't forget, I put eyeballs, shiny green eyes, and a slimy, mossy tongue on the fungus monster that I had done last week, or earlier, I don't know, sometime, Monday, I guess, is when I got most of this stuff. I'm guessing we're going to run into this in the sewers. It looks like a thing that would be in a sewer, doesn't it? I think it's friendly. Yeah, I think this will be an ally. This will be an NPC that will come just as we're about to be destroyed by whatever is going to destroy us in the sewers. This is going to come and save us. I'm sure of that. I'll leave it here. Here's some sewer things. Yeah, I'm going to end a little bit early today, which means soon. I want to thank everybody for joining in. Really appreciate your support. Thanks for being a follower. Thanks for being a subscriber. Thanks for considering going to patreon.com/diceanddungeons and becoming a patron. Watch our D&D sessions if you can't catch them when they do with live chat streams on Sundays. Catch them on YouTube or even as a podcast, because we're almost always making sounds of some sort. You know, Nines is either meowing or we're talking or something's going on, so it's not like there'd be silence. And I have to say I will say we are really pretty entertaining. It's fun and exciting sessions, wonderful world created by our DM. But this session of Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons is about to end. That is the accomplishment du jour. Next week, there will either be a few days where it doesn't happen, or you'll be seeing guest painters like Nicole, who might turn these owl bears into amazingly beautiful creatures, or not. We'll find out next week. So check social media for the calendar if you want to, but for now, I would go ahead and assume that the streaming schedule will be the same. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from more or less 10 until more or less 2 Eastern Daylight Time. Thank you all. Take care.